Mr. Traveler here. Thank you so much for tuning in today. Friends, if you would be so kind, please make sure you subscribe to the channel, hit that notification bell so you know when we upload videos or go live. We thank you so much for all the love and support. All right, friends, so let's talk about a very interesting subject. Have you ever stopped and wondered how much the cruise lines actually make? Well, we did a little research, dug into some numbers, and we're going to bring you the results today. I'm going to have the top 7 earners for you by cruise line, and I think the number 1 slot is going to really surprise you, so stay tuned for the number 1. So let's talk about how we arrived at the numbers. So we looked at the 2024 financial results for the cruise lines, and then we spread it out by day. So this is before taxes, expenses, and all this, everything else is just pure revenue divided by 365 days a year to come up with how much they make per day to get to our list. I will tell you that overall, globally, cruising last year had 37 million passengers. 19 million of those were United States residents, which is a 4.5% increase in travelers, but a 10% increase in revenue. Also, I want to keep you in mind, and we always try to tell you to think ahead and budget for your trips and try to pay for everything ahead of time that you think you might want so that you can try to avoid a big heavy bill at the end of your cruise. And that's because onboard revenue, things like drink packages, gambling, the shore excursions, all those add-ons, the stores, everything that's in there accounts for 30 to 40% of the revenue for the cruise lines. So just make sure you keep that in mind. Alrighty. And with that in mind, let's dig into our number 7 cruise line. And I do want to remind you that we've broken this down by cruise line. So, obviously Carnival, which owns AIDA, Carnival, they have Costa, Cunard, Holland, P&O, Princess. So they've got a ton of cruises, right? They've got so many cruise lines. Very obvious if we just left it at the cruise line level for the overall corporation, they're definitely number 1, right? Because they have a huge footprint. But we've separated that all out, just like Royal Caribbean has Celebrity, and we've separated each of these cruise lines out, and we're looking at them individually. So let's go. Coming in at number 7 is Disney Cruise Line. Yeah, it's kind of surprising because when you think Disney Cruise Lines, you don't think cheap. But I think what it is they just don't have enough ships as of yet. They have 6 ships currently, but they have 6 more on the way. So expect them to slide up that list pretty quickly when they get those other ships on there. But they came in last year at $2.5 billion. And if we break that down, that's $6.9 million a day for Disney Cruise Line, coming in at number 7. All right, coming in at number 6, part of the Royal Caribbean group is Celebrity Cruise Line. Now, the Royal Caribbean group itself came in at $16.5 billion last year, a 19% increase for the Royal Caribbean group. But Celebrity accounts for $8.6 million a day with its 17 ships. So it's a nice fleet that Celebrity has. But they come in at number 6 at $8.6 million a day. All right, coming in at number 5 would be Celebrity's, I guess, their direct competition, which would be Princess Cruise Line with the Carnival Group. Now, the Carnival Group itself came in at a whopping $25 billion last year for 2024, a 15% increase in market share. Princess itself likes to see $13 million a day with its 17 ships. So it's neck and neck with Celebrity right there. Not too far apart. They have a same amount of ships, but Princess does pull in a little bit more money than Celebrity. Coming in at number 4 is Norwegian Cruise Line. Now, Norwegian Cruise Line pulled in a hefty $9.4 billion last year, which is a 15.7% increase in market share for the company. And that breaks down to a whopping $18 million a day for Norwegian Cruise Lines. And if you're wondering, they have 19 cruise ships under their belt with more on the way. All right, so now we're in the top 3. Who do you think it's going to be? Coming in at number 3, my personal favorite, my favorite cruise line Royal Caribbean Cruises. So again, the Royal Caribbean group itself came in at 16.5 billion, and the Royal Caribbean itself, the cruise line, brings in $20.3 million a day for its portion of that 16.5 billion, with their generous 24 ships that sail all around the world. So it's hard to beat the big dogs right there with 24 ships on the Royal Caribbean Cruise Line. Make sure you check them out. All right, so we're down to the number 2 and number 1 spot. I told you number 1 is probably going to surprise you. So if I say that, then you should know that number 2 cruise line is Carnival. Carnival Cruise Line, as we told you before, brings in 25, the corporation itself brought in 25 billion last year. And out of that 25 billion, Carnival Cruise Line itself brings in $22.6 million a day. So that's a ton of money for Carnival Cruise Lines, especially when you stop and think about the Carnival itself. I mean, the majority of their ships are going to be located Caribbean, basically, right? You have the West Coast, you have Caribbean, you have Galveston. Now they do have other cruise ships, you know, in Australia, and they do a little bit into the Mediterranean and stuff like that. But the North Americas is bread and butter. And so that's something to say to bring them to number 2 at $22.6 million. But who could take them out? Who haven't we mentioned? And I tell you guys, probably going to be surprised. Coming in at number 1, MSC Cruises. Now, you might be surprised by that finding for MSC. They did bring in $14 billion last year, but that breaks down to $29.6 million a day for MSC Cruises. And they have 22 ships in their fleet. Now, the thing about the MSC that you may not know, because you may not be too familiar with MSC, as they're relatively the new kid on the block when it comes to the cruise lines, but they have done a very good job of starting to break into the North American marketplace. They've hired on new restaurateurs to help change the menu and change their, that stigma that they had, the food wasn't good. And they worked on the entertainment. They're working on, the ships were already beautiful. So they really didn't need a lot of help there. But they definitely were doing things to help them more Americanize the cruise ships. And it's twofold, right? They're Americanizing their cruise ships, giving us a good value. And they're also giving a landing spot for European customers who are familiar with MSC to come over to the United States to experience the Caribbean or wherever else they may want to go. As MSC breaks into other markets, they're going into Galveston, and soon you'll see them in Alaska and every place else. So they're growing, and they're growing rapidly. What you may not know is that MSC is a market leader in places like Europe, South America, South Africa, and the Middle East. So when you go over those places, MSC is number 1 over there overall. So that's what's helped them drive their spot to our number 1 on the list, coming in at $29.6 million a day. You're going to see MSC a lot more and more. So anyway, guys, if we can help you book any of these wonderful cruise lines or book anything else in the world, we would love to help you and your family make brand new memories. Give us a call, 877-697-4470. Or you can book right online, www.mr-traveler.com. So thanks for watching today. Remember, life's short. Have fun. Get out there and see the world. Bye, everybody.